Hi everyone, hi everyone, hi everyone. So we're at part two of running a nonprofit for 6+ years, and we're talking about Read for Life, which is the nonprofit that I am involved in, co-founder of. And Read for Life is a literacy-focused nonprofit organization that seeks to raise and maintain the levels of literacy in participants and to promote lifelong learning and the pursuit of knowledge. So yeah, that's our focus. We like to do that. It's a lot. We like to do that. And first up in this video, I want to start by talking about finding your niche. Because in our nonprofit organization, we started our readings when a national reading program was actually coming to an end. It had been slowly becoming less and less, not popular, but supported really. And so the libraries and the branches were suffering to a certain extent. And we stepped in and we were able to champion that cause and continue readings, especially during the summer when the children were out of school and have the summer reading program. To my future self, finding your niche is important. Sometimes you can be maybe doing things that are similar to what you're doing, but being clear about what you provide and how you add value to whatever situation is so important. Read for Life has been able to do that in Barbados. It has been able to do that in St. Vincent, in Dominica, and the relationships we have built with people in those islands are just, words cannot describe. These are very important people and very important experiences to me personally, and I'm very thankful for the tours that I would have gone, for the people that I would have met, for the volunteers that I would have worked with. So let me pause and just say to all the volunteers who have worked with Read for Life, thank you very much for getting on board. Read for Life is a win-win organization. We work with schools, with students who are interested in education or otherwise, university students, um, school leavers, high school or what we call secondary school leavers. We work with National Library Services of different nations, and all of this is surrounded by literacy. We work with parents and we work with children themselves, and there's a win in working or cooperating with the Read for Life program for each of these people. And I want to take time out to say thank you to all of the volunteers throughout the years. I remember seeing a post from a volunteer, and she had saved one of the pictures that she had taken, or one that had been taken of her while she was reading, and her note underneath it was that we were an important part of helping her continue her studies and work in psychology and working with children. And we are so happy to be able to provide that experience for people. You know, children can be, children are, there are often the most honest critics. And if you want to be able to teach, express yourself, lead, if you can lead a group of children, you can define exactly how you want to lead adults. You break it down, you get good at that. Children, sometimes their mouths have no cover. And so when you have to deal with media, adults, more professional situations, your fear, your fear can actually decrease knowing that you understand how you've trained yourself to handle situations. So I'm thankful for all the volunteers who have participated, and I sure hope you've learned as much as I have continued to learn every year that I work with another Read for Life project. So that being said, know your niche, fill it, and do you, and then also measure your impact. So when I talk about the volunteers, that's part of measuring your impact. During our reading sessions, I can think of stories where children came in and they were shy, self-esteem shot. There were other volunteers who would have done programs at the library, and I remember one coming up to me and saying, "Don't worry about this child. They're always like that. You'll never get them to answer questions because they are shy and just poorly." And we went through our Read for Life activities, we went through our sessions, and by the end of that session, that same child wrote a whole paragraph back to us. This child wanted to be able to work with their father, who did construction and worked with cement and building foundations and building walls. He said his goal was to work with him throughout summer. He wanted to because he wanted to learn that skill. And then he wrote in that paragraph he wanted to go on to one of the technical schools we have here and pursue that skill even further because he wanted to become an architect. And that was from a boy who couldn't even hold up his head at the beginning of the session. Measure your impact. And yes, you can measure it through statistics. You can do your reports, which are very important for other people, especially people who may not be au fait with whatever cultural context you are working with or in. But measure it for yourself through the stories and the lives that get impacted, and encourage them. During our sessions, we like to be able to create that one switch. The one time where a child says, "Oh, I can do this." And you hear it a lot when successful people talk about growing up. They will say, "There was this one teacher," or "One day someone came to my school," or "One day I was walking home and this happened." We want to be that one flick. And I'm saying that from what I have experienced in an NGO, but that really needs to happen in your personal interactions, just who you are. You need to turn people on. You need to be that spark in a person's life. And our slogan is to encourage, empower, and inspire. And if you walk around and personally, purposefully within yourself, you try to do this and be that light for others, and that switch that they get, then your impact is, it's going to be huge, it's going to be immeasurable, but you will feel it. You will feel it. And I think we need a lot more of those kind of people in the world. So enough about that. As an NGO, you have to, the NGO itself, be prepared for your market expanding, for competition, if you would put it that way, when competition enters the market. This is other organizations that may come up, that may have like interests, like goals. You want to make sure that your market isn't saturated. So if there are NGOs that are coming in that do similar things, you want to try and work with them. You want to make sure that there's no confrontation and that you can spread out and really reach everyone, because regardless of how many people are doing things, every person is going to hit a different niche. So make sure that your niche remains clear, make sure that you're not going into another person's lane, and if you see that things get busy, go back to the drawing board and refocus, because there's too much need out there for us to say we have enough help. We don't have enough help. There's always someone out there. And then after you're keeping that very bright, very positive attitude towards change and towards change in your sector, keep up with those changes. Technology, globalization, developments in education for us have impacted how we do what we do. Government policies, they make us think, or do we have to readjust here? Traveling to different countries and trying to get a best practice that will work for everyone, or every country that we go, in as much as we generally can, is something that we have to scrutinize and work around, but be open to working with. So our projects may have been delivered a certain way, but if we go to another area or even another community, we have to say, hold on, how can we do this to keep our impact high, to still keep our brand and our activities strong, but reach the people and deliver our success. Um, I'd say that, and you have to constantly educate yourself. Your personal education is never done. Your NGO's education is never done. Always read articles. Always find out what's going on in the world. Always, you can never stop. And I would also say on that note, after you're pushing yourself, you're trying to maintain but also push past what you have seen your NGO do and the projects you've done and the places you've done it. Me as a person to my future self, I always have to be careful that I don't hold on too tight. I'm never afraid to let go. I'm never afraid to let go of leadership. I'm never afraid to let go and delegate. I'm never afraid to walk away. I think that is so strong. When you realize that what you give is what is already inside of you, you can walk away with something and let someone have it because you know you can make a whole better one of whatever it is any given day. And you were just there to give it. You'll be fine. And Read for Life has gone through its changes, gone through its times when I wasn't running projects, where the other members weren't running projects, and the baton was passed between each of us, and then also the baton was passed between other volunteer leaders, and they ran whole sessions and none of us were present, and they had a great time and they were able to build their leadership skills, and that's how it goes, that's how it flows. I don't lose my flavor, my all of my pizzazz and everything that I bring is still with me, and I bring it every time and I share it with other people, but I'm not afraid to say, go, you run with it and have fun with it. Finally, I want to declare, it's kind of late because it's at the end of the video, but I will declare my position as it relates to international NGOs and local or national NGOs. I am a firm believer at my core that anything you do in an international NGO, you should be able to start, complete, and do even better on a national or a local or a community level. I do not think people should abandon the work that they can do in a community startup or a local or a national NGO to fulfill it in an international NGO. I think you're abandoning your purpose and you are abandoning the impact that you would have been developed for because it's your environment. That being said, I strongly encourage people to join international NGOs because of the same issue of the environment. You will draw on what is around you. And if you only draw from the people who are working at your national or local level, then your eyesight and your practice and your models are going to stay similar, not far from what you are experiencing and what is around you. So I would say work with international organizations, NGOs, learn from them, and then apply them to the niche that you know you have to fulfill. Because at the end of the day, I think the relationship between international and national and local NGOs should not be one that is a top-down approach. I think the international organizations' representation of issues, cultures, and advocacy is actually brought, and the diversity is shown when people from the local and the national sector really get into their projects and showcase their work. In other words, the international organizations are built on you. And manage your time right. That's also one of the skills that I've learned. And try and make all of your skill sets work positively between the two, but understand your roles are separate between your local organization and your international organization responsibilities and impact. So that's a bit about what I have learned in running an NGO for 6+ years. There's always more. This is just a taste, and I am happy to share it with you to to have shared it with you, and more importantly, so my future self, when you see this, you will know exactly where Jillian's head was at and what I was working with and what I was pushing through. So I will leave you to do your best and be your best and continue to develop every skill that you know you have been given with. Push it to 100%. Do not be afraid of what you see around you, the norms that you see, the practices that you see. Break those barriers and leave this world well spent. Thank you for watching. Bye.